Brian, what a time for you to come back, make your big comeback, your big return. You're like Triple H coming back or John Cena at a Royal Rumble, unexpected, all that stuff.
Yep.
But here we are. It is the road to WrestleMania. We're now, I guess, with this weekend, about 4 weeks away now at this
4 weeks.
point.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
4 weeks away from night 2.
I know. Oh my God. So yes, WrestleMania 41 coming up in April 19th and 20th over in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. And the narrative of this episode is going to be focusing on we're going to talk about the highlights from Raw and SmackDown from this past week. And in regards to the build to WrestleMania, the different matches and storylines we see playing out here, and just give our thoughts about the whole thing. But I do want to touch on first for like this first segment here. Just there's been a lot going on as far as announcements with WrestleMania weekend. Hell, I would say it's even, you call it like WrestleMania week now. This thing has really turned into a big just event for, let's see, over a week now. Like it's crazy, Brian. So, we have friends here locally in the wrestling independent wrestling scene. And I know a lot of people are going to be traveling out to Las Vegas for shows and performing. And I think there's now wrestling shows, let's see, scheduled Thursday, the 17th, Thursday, April 17th. There's going to be shows there. No, West Coast Pro Wrestling, Oasis Pro Wrestling, Big Time Wrestling. I think West Coast Pro Wrestling, Big Time Wrestling are doing a joint show together. Oasis Pro Wrestling doing their own show at a different location. And a bunch of other independent wrestling shows, WrestleCon, are all going to go on that weekend of WrestleMania 41. But I know there's stuff going on earlier in the week. I saw Scott Steiner was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast last week, and he's going to be out there. I think the Tuesday it was. He's doing some event, like arm wrestling event, like Tuesday before WrestleMania. I'm like, wow, who's going to be in Las Vegas like the Tuesday before WrestleMania? That's a long stay there. But now WWE have been announcing more and more events for WrestleMania weekend. So I just want to kind of recap that real quick. So for anyone who is planning to go to Las Vegas for WrestleMania 41, which, by the way, tickets are on sale now over at Ticketmaster.com, or go to WWE.com for all the details. But let's just recap what is scheduled right now for WrestleMania weekend from WWE specifically. Like I said, a lot of people... Brian, you've been to WrestleMania multiple times. Me too as well. I think a lot of our listeners have been as well. But for people who don't know, what's really cool is like wherever WrestleMania it's at, it's like pretty much like the Super Bowl of pro wrestling. Or I know WWE like to say the Super Bowl is the WrestleMania of the NFL. But what's cool is, it's this big event that takes over the city. And with that, though, other companies, other wrestling promotions, independent promotions, conventions, WrestleCon, whatnot, they like to capitalize on so many wrestling fans in one city that they put on other events in the area just to kind of spread the wealth. So it's like we have so many people who are wrestling fans.
The wrestling takeover.
It is really a wrestling takeover in that city where WrestleMania is at. So much going on. So if you maybe can't afford to go to every WWE event, but you want to see some live pro wrestling, there's some other shows going on. It's really amazing. Like when I went to New Orleans back in 2018, I remember one night I went to it was I think a TNA joint or TNA and oh my God, what was the other promotion they were working with? I'm totally spacing on right now. But it was not MLW, I don't think. MLW wasn't there at the point. But anyway, it was just really cool, like different people working together, doing shows, all that stuff. So, like I said, let's recap what's going on for WWE specifically. So, as I mentioned, WrestleMania 41 is going to be April 19th, Saturday, April 19th, and Sunday, April 20th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the home of the Las Vegas Raiders. And Brian, you and I both been there for SummerSlam 2021. Yep. That was a fun spot. Also, Friday Night SmackDown is going to be April 18th at the T-Mobile Arena, also in Las Vegas. And then Saturday, April 19th, NXT Stand and Deliver is going to happen at T-Mobile Arena. And Monday Night Raw on that Monday, April 21st, the Raw after Mania, that's going to be the T-Mobile Arena. And then I don't see it here. Did they also announce NXT is going to be doing a live show on that Tuesday, April 22nd at, was it Fountain Blue?
Fountain Blue. Yep.
Okay, man. So
That's
that's
a first. Usually NXT gets left behind for the TV taping. So yeah.
Yes. No, that's gonna be interesting for them to capitalize on that. So literally for WWE from Friday through Tuesday, WWE is gonna have some sort of event every day. So what? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, 5 straight days of events there of just wrestling related shows going on there. And then let's see. So individual tickets are on sale now for WrestleMania 41. Also, WWE World, that's taking place once again, which if you've been a long time WrestleMania attendee, it's pretty much WrestleMania Access. They just renamed it to WWE World, where it's pretty much a huge convention room they take over, and they got the WWE Superstore there selling all the merch and t-shirts,
all the props,
toys, action figures, and then they got all the different like artifacts, memorabilia from WWE over the years, different people's like wardrobes, attires, ring gear, different props. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of like Eddie Guerrero's like lowrider car. I remember one year, or the Jeep DX used to drive around in. I remember one year there was like an old elimination chamber set up, or you'll have like Undertaker's old props on display. So it's really cool. ECW,
a bunch of different robes and ring boots and title
it's really
belts.
Cool. And then I remember last year in Philadelphia, they had I think the Ringer was doing some live broadcast tapings there. They do some other streams there. It's so much. If you're a wrestling fan of WWE, it's like their version of WrestleCon. I mean, that's where you can go and meet WWE superstars, do meet and greets, get photo ops with them. So that's going to be April 17th through the 21st at the Las Vegas Convention Center, the West Hall there. And like I said, everything I'm saying right now is over at WWE.com. You can check it all out. But Thursday, they got a bunch of WWE superstars there featuring Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Tiffany Stratton. Ooh, I have Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair have a fight right there at the WWE World in the meet and greet there. Friday, April 18th, they got Jey Uso, Rhea Ripley. Oh, that'll be fun because Jey Uso, Rhea Ripley, remember they had a little fun back and forth last year on Monday Night Raw. So maybe re-spark that. And then Saturday, April 19th, they got The Undertaker. Sunday, April 20th, they got Mike Tyson. And then Monday, April 21st, you got Alexa Bliss and LA Knight. But did Alexa Bliss get pulled though? Did you hear something about that?
Yeah, I read she got pulled from all the WrestleMania World like weekend events.
Oh, okay. Hope everything's okay.
Not too sure what that's about, but hopefully she's all right.
And then I also saw like Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be making an appearance there. That's going to be cool. And just so much more. And then let's see. The other big event is, of course, the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony for the 2025 class. This is going to be different. It's going to be at the Fountain Blue, Las Vegas. Not like what they've been doing for many years now, which is pretty much you got Friday Night SmackDown, and then right after they go off the air, they switch over everything to the Hall of Fame ceremony. So like last year in Philadelphia at the arena where the Flyers play and the 76ers play, they had Friday Night SmackDown. And then when that was over for like the next 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was, they like redo the ring and all the wrestlers come out and sit down in all their nice fancy clothes. And they do the Hall of Fame ceremony in that same ring, in the same arena. So everyone just sticks around, sits there. But no, it's going to be different. This is going to be offsite at a different location. And
does that mean if people are at SmackDown and they want to go to Hall of Fame, they've got to leave and go straight to the other location?
So what my guess here is, as you know, all the WWE shows, they go on East Coast times. So I'm guessing that Friday Night SmackDown in Las Vegas, that'll be from 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific time, which will be 8 to 11 East Coast time. The Hall of Fame ceremony, that is going to be Friday, April 18th at 9:30 p.m. at the Fountain Blue in Las Vegas. So technically, if my math is correct, you have like an hour and a half window to get over.
Okay.
If SmackDown ends at 8 o'clock at T-Mobile, then you have an hour and a half until the Hall of Fame ceremony starts at Fountain Blue. I don't know how far apart they are, but you know, it's Las Vegas. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy to walk from one hotel to another. You got all the different
Mm-hmm.
escalators and stairs, and there's like not everything has like a straight sidewalk on the side. It's a little pain in the ass to get around different hotel stuff. So I think that's why they like, let's give an hour and a half window, give people time to leave the arena, make their way over to Fountain Blue, get inside, sit down, all that stuff. And also for the wrestlers too, the hustle over there as
Yeah.
well. So let's talk about the current inductees so far. It's just been 3 announced. I'm sure they're going to be announcing more. You're telling me off the air some of the rumors. But the big one, of course, is Triple H. He's going to get inducted. Lex Luger and Michelle McCool. Those are the 3 currently announced. For Triple H, he's already went in once with DX back in 2019 in New York City. I was there for that. And then but you know, he's the man in charge now. He's head of creative for WWE. So it's already a busy weekend for him, WrestleMania weekend, just everything going on, but then also prepare a speech and get inducted and all that stuff. Lex Luger, of course, you and I, the total package, Lex Luger, you and I grew up watching him, obviously in the late 80s and throughout the 90s. He's a legend in our books just from our childhood. And then Michelle McCool, aka Mrs. Undertaker. But Michelle McCool in her own right had an awesome career in WWE, a multiple time Divas champion, all that stuff. So what are your thoughts so far on these 3 announcements so far?
Triple H, when he was initially announced, I was excited about it. I was like, okay, that's cool. I love the way that they did it, you know, involving Shawn and Taker, surprising him at one of those what is it, town hall meeting they were having?
Oh, was it for Netflix? Was like the Netflix promotion or something? But yeah,
it was some meeting. It was at their headquarters that they were having.
Yeah, the WWE, the new WWE headquarters. Yeah.
But so I thought that was cool, but I was extremely excited for Lex Luger, man. I mean, I can if you give me a pen and a piece of paper, I can draw Lex Luger's entire WCW career in the late 90s. Like that's how impactful it was to me.
Yeah.
And how big of a fan I was, you know.
Yeah.
And just that I've been watching him on DDP's you know, YouTube channel.
Yeah, DDP yoga. Yeah.
Yeah, getting better, and he's standing a lot better now, and it's just been great to see. And seeing Cody give him that news was really, really cool. Very, very WWE champion like of Cody to do that. and then Michelle McCool, of course.
Yeah.
She's you know, she's deserving of it. I think she doesn't get talked about very much. She doesn't get enough credit that she deserves in terms of, you know, women who helped create the you know, just the style of wrestling that we see now. You know, she was definitely thriving under the Divas era. I'll say that she was, you know, we always talk about Natty, right? I think Michelle McCool, she got in there and she had really, really great matches. You know, and I don't think she gets talked about enough in terms of who paved that way and who helped, you know, push that line to get, you know, for women to even just be inspired to go in there and have hard match. I mean, she was also having, her and Layla were having tables matches and things like that, you know, back in the day. So good for her. I'm excited for her too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know,
and the way she was surprised too. They surprised her, I think, on ESPN or something.
That's right. Yeah. Was it Undertaker who told her? Was it?
Yep.
He's like the ambassador now, telling people. Excuse me. Yeah, you're right though. It's like she was like you think about, like it was like Trish and Lita in the early 2000s who were like, along with Ivory, and I mean, you know, Jacqueline was more in the late 90s. I'm trying to think who else. Let's see, Ivory, Victoria. You know, there was like they were like the really good. Like I'm sure I'm missing someone off the top of my head. I apologize, but like those female wrestlers were awesome and like just doing great stuff within the constraints of the old Vince McMahon world that they were working in. But then also, you know, then however the Divas era started kicking off. Eve. Oh yeah, that's right.
Eve Torres.
But yeah, you're right. But the Michelle McCool, like she was, I think, kind of like one of the groundbreakers of like I think also putting on matches. Like back in the day, it was like there was a period there where they like would do like 30-second-minute matches. It was like really short, not a lot of time devoted to them. But then Michelle McCool and them, as you mentioned, were able to start kind of do some more longer matches and just I think help influence a lot of the female wrestlers we see nowadays. So yeah, to give her flowers now, that's good.
You're excited to see a great, just a diverse style of wrestling from one of the women instead of the typical hair pulling and things like that.
Bra and panty matches back in the day as well. Yeah. So then that's definitely a different time, different world back then in the pro wrestling world. But of course, Triple H. What I was getting at earlier. So he went in once with DX. He's going to go in by himself solo. And I'm sure at some point in the future, he's going to go in as part of Evolution. So I think he's going to be a 3-time WWE Hall of Famer. So
that'll be cool.
But like, listen, and maybe we could save more of this conversation for later, but just Triple H's impact. Like, I think let's maybe see how the ceremony plays out. But come on, he was part of the new generation era in the mid 90s. But also then the Attitude Era and then the Ruthless Aggression Era. And then after that, and then he, transferred into more the creative stuff. And now he's head of creative running WWE. So, I mean, his career, we can go on forever talking about just his contributions and just, he was one of the top guys in an era where there was a lot of top guys, main eventers between Stone Cold, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Mick Foley, but let's say Triple H, like the list goes on, just all the great talent that we grew up watching back in the day. So yeah, his accomplishments, there's so much we could talk about with him there. But yes, I'm with you. I grew up being a huge Lex Luger fan.
Yeah.
His early days in the NWA and the Four Horsemen stuff, that was, I wasn't able to watch a lot of that stuff just because growing up here on the West Coast, that was happening more on the East Coast and in the South. So I didn't get to see a lot of that. I got to saw some of his stuff on TBS on the Superstation. And then we went to WWF and became the narcissist Lex Luger. Then he became like, Mr. USA type Lex, riding the Lex Express and body slamming Yokozuna and all that. And then when he came back to WCW, that's where I really was watching him a lot. As far as he was like Team WCW against the NWO invasion, then he joined NWO Wolfpack and just that run in WCW in the mid to late 90s. That was, I was watching, me, I was watching Attitude Era every single week on Raw and Nitro every week. So I was seeing Lex Luger every single week. So I'm with you. The Lex Luger is a big impact as far as what I watched back in the day, and oh my God, why am I brain farting on his finisher? Oh my God.
Torture Rack.
The Torture Rack, duh, of course, man. But when he won the WCW championship, that was a great moment with the Torture Rack.
I'll never forget it. Yes. I always said that, Hangman should have had, he kind of did, sort of. When he won the championship, he kind of had a little Lex Luger moment.
Oh yeah, how like everyone like came out and celebrate with him, and that's right. Okay, and Lex Luger. No, it was a long time coming. I mean, Lex Luger had one of the obviously all-time great bodies. If you want to talk about like physiques in pro wrestling, so it's gonna be fun. We'll see.
An underrated double champ too. I felt like he held on to that TV title and those tag team titles for quite a bit.
That's right. Oh my God. I used to love all those the WCW titles in the 90s. I loved all those designs. Big gold plate, circular. I loved all that stuff.
Yep.
But even the WCW US title, I love that title, the design. I love that. He wore that too, all that. So we'll see who inducts him though. I know he put out there he wants Sting to induct him. Sting currently under contract with AEW. We'll see if the two sides can come to agreement, if Sting can be made available to come participate at the Hall of Fame. We'll see if he gets to do it. So I'm curious who's going to induct Triple H as well and Michelle McCool. So we'll see to get all the ceremony there. Also, it was announced a couple days ago, the roast of WrestleMania featuring Tony Hinchcliffe, who we know, if you're a fan in the comedy world, he has a very popular podcast and YouTube show, Kill Tony, which he does out in Austin, Texas, which it's every week at a comedy club, I think like on Mondays or Tuesdays. And him and a bunch of comedians sit there and people come out and do 60 seconds of comedy. Its name's picked out of a bucket and you do a minute of your stand-up and then they roast you afterwards. And he's known for a lot of the celebrity roasts in the last few years. Got a lot of attention in the last year when he spoke at the Trump rally in New York City, and his comments he made there about, I believe it was Puerto Rico. And so he definitely created a lot of controversy. And I personally did not agree with all the things he was saying, but I get it. He's a comic and he's trying to be funny, but also, you know, Brian, you and I talked off the air. We don't agree with that agenda. So
not at all.
So I know he's definitely controversial.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun that night, though.
I know he's definitely a controversial figure. I think he got a new Netflix deal as well. So we'll see what happens there. But so that's going to be on Sunday, April 20th at 10 p.m. at the Blue Live Theater, which I think that's also at the Fountain Blue, Las Vegas as well. And it looks like featured superstars going to be Paul Heyman, Sami Zayn, The Miz, and Braun Strowman. So that's going to be interesting. If that's at 10 p.m. after night 2 of WrestleMania, people have to rush over from Allegiant Stadium. So unless WrestleMania starts maybe at 4 o'clock, goes 4 hours to 8 p.m., and then people rush over after that. So
that's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. This is, from what I could tell, it's non-televised. It's not going to be live anywhere. I'm sure cell phones will not be allowed in the room. That way, you know, people can't get filmed and post online. And it's going to be interesting to see what jokes.
Tell them to get those yonder pouches out.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of maybe Vince McMahon type jokes. And it's interesting, though, who's here. Paul Heyman, Sami Zayn, The Miz, Braun Strowman. Paul Heyman, I imagine... would he actually... I guess these 4 guys would not have anything going on technically night 2. I would imagine Paul Heyman obviously going to be involved with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. That I would assume that's probably going to be night 1. But then Sami Zayn, The Miz, and Braun Strowman. The Miz and Braun Strowman, I don't imagine probably going to have matches at WrestleMania this year. Sami Zayn, where he's going, that's kind of up in the air right now too. So I'm guessing these 4 can be listed to work this roast because they're not going to be involved in night 2. So they have a little more freedom to get over there. So we'll see. So yeah, like I said, this is all over at WWE.com for more info. And then NXT is also going to be that Tuesday as well. So it's going to be really cool. I like I said before, it's like 5 straight days of WWE related programming and content and events. So they're really making this not only a weekend, like literally almost a full week of stuff. So definitely plan your week, your vacation now if you can. It's going to be a lot of people partying in Las Vegas. So